Weird sound out. There you go. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Yeah.
Who all are in right now?
Good morning.
Yeah.
Hi.
Eat Lisbon, anyone, folks? All right. So the party is here. Today's session is about building Legos of Web3. And what exactly I mean by building Legos of Web3 is basically the pieces which are used in different builds in Web3, like any dApp or any product, any DeFi product, NFT product. So we are just gonna look at things from a glance. And one of the best tools we have in the ecosystem, especially Ethereum, is ScaffoldEth, created by Austin Griffith. And we have one of the top contributors on ScaffoldEth repo, Adam. And Adam is ex-Coinbase Google, and he has actually built a whole project using ScaffoldEth and has done it throughout a block. And it was just amazing experience seeing Adam build it inside the block. And I'll give mic to Adam and he'll talk about nifty.ink, the project, and his experience with the ScaffoldEth.
Sure, hey everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. Someone was just yelling at me because anyway, long story. Yeah, great to meet you all. So let me share my screen. It's probably the easiest way. Can you see see this guy?
Yes.
See ScaffoldEth up there?
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. So I guess like I put together a couple of slides, which actually isn't very buildy, but I just wanted to give a quick bit of context on sort of background, and then hopefully a bit of space to sort of do some poking around ScaffoldEth. So zero to builder, I guess. So I just sort of stepping back, I think can feel intimidating when you've not sort of written any code and you've not built apps to actually to sort of see how you can get started. And so I didn't study computer science. I didn't and like I said, during my education I studied sort of biochemistry, so it's sort of scientific, but it's mostly sort of doing sums occasionally, and often in quite a sort of unstructured way. So I guess that was how I sort of started out. But then through my career, sort of started making spreadsheets as a management consultant for my sins, then started writing SQL when I became an analyst, started then building data pipelines with Python, then encountered Solidity for the first time with Truffle, and then sort of moved to full stack with ScaffoldEth. And it was all very sort of incremental, basically building things because I needed them. But sort of by starting with something that is really addressable, like spreadsheets, and then just iteratively doing more sort of complex building over time, you can sort of go from nothing to something over over the period of a couple of years. I'm currently my Edge notes on product manager, so still not writing as much code with that, but still doing a lot of building on the side. So I guess my entry was hackathons, and I think it's a really great way to start out if you haven't built anything, because it's sort of my experience generally was you could have loads of ideas, do loads of thinking, but actually nothing really forces you to build, having a really compressed period of time in which you have to get something out. So ETH London 2020, just for the pandemic hit, and then sort of Hack Money, which was online, sort of got me into building ETH London. Didn't really know what I was doing. I was pulling down Truffle, trying to install it. Spent a lot of time just trying to get set up. Hack Money was actually then where I discovered sort of ScaffoldEth, so essentially dev framework, which it really just sort of spun up in the last in the sort of days, weeks, and months before. And so I used that for Hack Money to essentially put something together that was kind of pulling together mainly sort of gasless transactions. That was how I then sort of started to contribute and hack on ScaffoldEth. I really liked it because it kind of helped me actually get everything spun up and got moving, and spend less time doing the sort of setting up my environment and more time thinking about actually building stuff. And that it was around that time after I just done Hack Money that I guess Kernel was announced, and I thought I'll give it a shot. I actually asked Austin, he said, because this is the first one, it was the initial kernel, and I was like, this is going to be worthwhile. And he's like, those Gitcoin guys, they know what they're doing. So thought I'd give it a shot. But then I managed to kind of spend much less time going to the sessions and much more time like building, like really focusing on the build track, like throughout essentially the blocks. So like, what is nifty.ink? I don't know if you can actually see, it's maybe covering it. It's basically Microsoft Paint on the blockchain, or that was how we kind of envisaged it. And really, like, what it was though was much less like, it wasn't really something we built from scratch. It was really about like pulling stuff that all existed, like in loads of different places, and putting it all together into one app. So like nifty.ink at its genesis was basically like, there are all these cool things. So we found this really great canvas drawing library. We've got some OpenZeppelin libraries and like in Solidity. We're using IPFS, we're using a bunch of stuff off the shelf from like Ant components, Nexti, using GSN for like meta transactions, like ENS for like account naming. So basically trying to cobble all these things together. And so the first like piece of advice I say like as a builder is like, don't be afraid just to like use the stuff that exists, and don't like, as much as it can be exciting that we're building like stuff in Web3 from scratch that hasn't been built before, like stand on the shoulders of the giants who already exist within the ecosystem, because they are fantastic, and there's so much great stuff out there if you're willing to sort of pull stuff off the shelf and like really focus on that new thing you're trying to put together. The other thing is like loom yourself. This is like a really small thing I found. So like during the course of kernel, you can kind of see like, it was probably over, this is only like a couple month period, but like this was the first one where it's like, this was like the proof of concept nifty.ink thing. And if you video see yourself like running through, like it's quite cool to go back and see and like look at the progress over the course of months, where like added like wallet improvements, add sending, like, and like it's heartening then to look back over the course of a couple of weeks and see actually how far you have come. And then the third thing is just to like ship and be surprised. So I think when we shipped like nifty.ink, it was basically like these dumbass doodles that I do. So I think the question I was going to ask is like, can you tell which of these was done by me and which one of these was done by like an incredible artist who's like use nifty.ink? I think the thing that took us by surprise is we thought it was going to be about scribbles and like mostly like Web3 enthusiasts like using this thing, but we put it out there, and almost immediately in the first like couple of like weeks, like we had these incredible creative people using this platform in a way, like using the same tools that I can like create this dumb smiley face to create this amazing stuff. So like put stuff out there, like embrace your early users, see what they do with the platform, in particular the stuff that surprises you, and then that's really energizing to like iterate on the product and improve it, rather than wait until it's your perfect thing. Because like I think what we envisaged for nifty.ink is nowhere like the community that we've got today. So that's a bit of high speed and like slightly conscious of time. But in general, nifty.ink is there. It like is at this point it's quite far from the initial like ScaffoldEth like framework, but there's loads of really familiar stuff like that's still there, whether it's like the account that I think is in the bottom right here. The account is still the same, like pretty much the same component. We're still using like the same UI library, like it's still basically a ScaffoldEth branch that we've just kind of iterated on over time. So I'd encourage folks to use a lot of the Legos that are part of that are in ScaffoldEth, give it a try. There's loads of really great materials and branches that you can explore and look at. But yeah, I'd then go back to those three things. So use the Legos that exist, loom yourself and see your progress over time, and then ship and be surprised. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Adam. The fun thing about nifty.ink is that like a lot of amazing artists have used this, and they have just, you know, instead of using Procreate or something, they have actually used this tool to just scribble and make some amazing art. And yeah,
I'll show you the most amazing one right now. There's this guy, we've got a couple of guys who do this like programmed stuff on there. So let me show this. If I go to nifty.ink, I'll see if I can find it. So this one, like, I have no idea how they do this, but if you press play, so if you press play, you get to see how it was drawn. Like if you press play, I have no idea how someone did this. Like, but they programmed it, and like if you go to create, it's like a doodle page like this. Like, I don't know how they're doing this stuff, but it's like, it's unreal, and it's so cool to see like these creative people coming to Web3 as well as the developers.
that's amazing. It's amazing. Guys, if you want to refer to ScaffoldEth, that's in the Slack chat as well. And yeah, like building this, having such amazing results so soon is crazy. And thank you, Adam. we also have Paul, who recently built like a CD of OP Games, gaming guild leader, and author of gaming syllabus on KERNEL Book. And Paul in general is like an amazing friend and has been contributing to kernel since like day one. Uh, Paul has 15 plus years of gaming experience, which is crazy again. But he has recently built this Arcadians, which is a tool, very cool tool, which can generate like really cool NFT and these Arcadian knights and stuff. So, and Paul has again used ScaffoldEth for it. So we'll be deep diving into it for the next 10 minutes. And then we have Airmeet set up where in the lounge, you'll be able to meet and talk to Adam, Paul, and other builders from dOrg and some of the kernel mentors like William. And you'll be able to actually ask them, okay, how can you reach a proof of concept faster using either ScaffoldEth or OpenZeppelin standards, or in general, what Adam said about sitting on the shoulder of the giants and just reaching your proof of concept faster. So yeah, I'll give it to.
So just for everyone here, the two things here that we're trying to show are like Adam, Paul, people here have used ScaffoldEth. They've gone from 0 to 1. Many of you have built prototypes, and the hope is that you, after this session, have gotten a sense of, okay, these are some ways that people have done that. And then in Airmeet, which hopefully if you can join from your computer. If you have specific questions, we'll have the room set up for you to be able to ask those questions to Paul, to Adam, and to others who are builders in the space. So be ready for that in the next 15 minutes or so, but we'll pass it to Paul for now.
Cool. Thank you, Sachin, Vivek. And I have to apologize in advance that I didn't really have a prepared presentation. We're launching our NFT launch in the next few hours. But we'll start sharing, I guess, a few things also on how we kind of started building this. So let me share my screen. Right, so this is the OP Games repo. Similar to Adam, I was also part of the Genesis block, and back then I remember I was also trying to make Legos for Web3. Can you guys hear me?
There's some background noise, Paul, just so you know.
Yes. Okay, how's this?
Much better. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right, sorry for the noise. Yeah, but as I was saying, when we were building also during Genesis block, we realized that we have to build on the stuff that people are building on. That was initially my project, which was Game3.js during Genesis block. And I guess I quickly realized there are much better tools out there than the one I'm building, which led me to ScaffoldEth. And now we're mostly building everything on ScaffoldEth because, as Adam said, it has all the Legos that you need. And I can show what we're kind of using now for the Arcadians, how we did it is we branched off from ScaffoldEth and created our own our own branch from where we can work out of. But it's all open source as well, just so we didn't clutter all of the repositories already on ScaffoldEth. So this one is the avatar project. I'll just go to the branch. But similar to nifty.ink, this project, the Arcadians project, is also built on ScaffoldEth. And what we essentially did there is we used several open source technologies as well to generate avatars on top of generate avatars on your browser. So I have an example here. So also, as you've seen, this looks very similar to ScaffoldEth that Adam showed. It uses the same components, but in our case, we were able to use a library called JSAura, which allows us to just have to wait for this to load. I'll just use my local host. Sorry about that. Go back here. I'll just show this one on the NFT avatars. But yeah, but essentially we also started using similar other Web3 or open source technologies on top of ScaffoldEth. So aside from the Web3 Legos, we're using the Legos of modern web, I would say. And we use JS Aura, which is a tool to be able to generate these avatars just using a PSD file. So here's the demo. Yeah. So this should be working here, but what happens is here we're kind of generating the avatars just by turning on and off certain PSD layers. And all of this source is also actually, all of the images are actually also open source. So the images themselves are Legos. If you kind of take a look at this avatar here, you can get all of these graphics from opengameart.org. So even the images themselves are shared by open source game developers. So speaking to the point of Adam that you have to build on the shoulders of giants, right? There's already so much work being done here, not just in Web3, but also in games, in open source games. So even the library that I mentioned, JS Aura, this one, has been created by a game developer, I think, on and it's using a standard called openraster.org, which allows us to just really dissect what the layers are and do our own stuff that we need to do. So for the Arcadians, for our Arcadians project, we mostly just use that same technology. All of this is also open source. All of this is also on ScaffoldEth. This connect to MetaMask button was we kind of look at the source of DAOhouse to get this to work. And all of these Arcadians are built using that tool that I showed before. It's just a PSD file where you return on and off certain layers.
Paul, if I may ask a question here. So you have been in general talking about game Legos, right? Like, so avatars is one Lego. Then, and there is so much potential with just the launch of avatars. I think they're gonna see it in 9 hours. It's super excited about it. But what were some of the Legos in building that you used for building this, and how ScaffoldEth was helpful in that process? If you just wanna mention some of that.
Oh yeah, sure. So I guess for building the Arcadians, we used ScaffoldEth, as I mentioned. There are a lot of other example NFT projects on the ScaffoldEth repo themselves, like Bernie Boys, which is a project by Adam, and also there's a simple ERC example there as well. And also Moonshot Bots is also there if you look at the repository. So just take a look at all of those repositories that are on ScaffoldEth. You'll really learn a lot. So as Sel mentioned in the chat, me myself, I learned from looking at the code and looking at what other people are doing. So just going through all of those branches on ScaffoldEth will allow you to really learn. And to your point also, Sachin, around game Legos, maybe I'll just go really quickly around what game Legos are in our opinion. So game Legos, for example, are the avatars. We see people making these avatars now, and game developers are able to fundraise using them. And another example that we've kind of seen is the Loot Project. We've been discussing this in the Gaming Guild recently. The Loot Project is an example of NFTs building on top of each other to build gameplay. And yeah, I think we're just at the start. People are now just realizing that with open source tools and all of these, and looking at what DeFi has done around building money Legos and creating bigger, better stuff around them, we can do the same with games, and we can use avatars as that. We can use Loot, which is essentially, I guess, an extension of the avatars, right? But starting on building on all of these game Legos, I'm excited on what kind of games we'll see. I think there are going to be a bit more, and I think that's also what we're hoping the fellows to explore is how can we use the composability of games, the composability of Web3 to build new experiences. But yeah, maybe I can, if we can go later on the calls, I can do a deeper dive on how we're doing the experience on the table.
Yeah, I think that's gonna come soon in Gaming Day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
amazing. Thank you so much for I'll just quickly share my screen to show you guys what's gonna happen next. But in general, what Adam and Paul have shared about ScaffoldEth is like just so quick, right? There are the what Paul was mentioning about learning from other projects. You can just open, like, let's say you want to build an airdropper, you can just go to this branch. You'll have everything inside out. And then here's Austin and his bow tie on Fridays talking about a particular project. So you can always follow this, see how the code is working. And the important thing is that it's not just for builders, right? Like if you're a founder and you're trying to reach a proof of concept, you can just simply look at these videos, just follow this content, and you will get a much greater sense of, okay, what needs to be built here. You can reach a MVP yourself, or you can collaborate with any builder. So that's our hope with ScaffoldEth and with OZ contracts. And but of course we should deep dive into this, like, okay, what's your idea and how you're thinking about it, and what kind of best practices you can use. So sorry, my internet went off. Can you guys still hear me? Oh,
Yep.
awesome. Yeah, so you guys can see Airmeet Lounge on my screen. Adam, Paul, William, Angela, Roberto, Gerard, all of these are like really experienced builders. They will be on the Airmeet table for you guys. Just you can describe your project briefly, and then talk about, okay, how you're thinking about reaching a proof of concept, how you're thinking in general about building your project, and you can take advice on how to approach it the best. So I'll just drop the link here, and yeah, feel free to ask. Yeah, but yeah, that's another story, definitely. Feel free to ask any questions you guys have, and Vivek, if you want to mention anything.
Yeah, Sachin, I think you meant